or you guys asked for an updated version guide on my Yujin. Now, on my last video for my Yujin, it is a beginner's guide, and I kind of go over a few things, but now it's been over a month and you guys been asking for an updated version. I'm going to showcase this for you guys today. As you probably saw in the intro, we see some crazy numbers when it comes to damage. We're going to show you a damage build, we're going to show you a healing build, and then we're going to show you something you can work on potentially as well. This is going to be my ultimate Yujin guide. You're going to see why I call it ultimate specifically. But I'm from Reckless Player Gaming. Let's get started. Alright, as you can see, I did buy a skin for him. This is why I call it my ultimate Yujin, because seeing how they do all the ultimates, they pretty much have a white, gold, and black theme to it. So I kind of did my own little thing with the executor set specifically you can get, and I think it came out really sick. Which is why, again, I call it my ultimate Yujin. In this video, we're going to be talking about 2 of his Transcendent mods. The third one changes his passive, which isn't really as great, but the other 2 pretty much everyone knows about it, and I'm going to showcase how I have mine currently set up, the reactors you kind of want specifically, give or take, and then we're going to be showcasing a couple other things as well. But let's go ahead and show you my first build. Alright, the first one we're going to showcase for you guys is my DPS build, which I think a lot of people are interested in the DPS side of it. I think a lot of people go over the healing perfectly fine. We're going to go over my way of having it. Maybe you guys can help me out. But when it comes to DPSing, if you want some survivability and you want to do some good, decent damage, some ad clear, this is going to be the way you're going to probably want to set up specifically. But what I want to do is, just in case you guys don't know, I'm going to go over what the Transcendent mod does specifically, which this one is called Proliferating Allergy. Specifically, used to do, you would throw a serum, and then as you do damage to that target that had that allergy on there, you were able to heal yourself and any nearby allies. In this case, what you do instead, you take that serum and you actually, instead of healing, you actually cause a debuff to occur, and then after 5 seconds, it would explode. And when it does explode, you would do damage. Now, there's a few ways for this explosion to occur. One, if you defeat the enemy while it had the allergy, you can have it to explode a little bit early, or you can wait for it to pop off, and you're actually able to, after the 5 seconds, it automatically explode for you guys. Now, the debuff that you actually do with this specifically, it takes 10% more damage to whatever target got hit with the allergy. So keep that in mind. That could be decent with a possible mixture of healing and DPSing if you're fighting Colossus, because by having this out specifically, the Colossus would take 10% more damage. Keep in mind the base radius of this specific explosion is only 4 meters, and you can have that 250%, which is around 10 meters. Currently, the way I have mine set up, I have it at 9.5 specifically, so we're pretty much at the cap, give or take 0.5. We're not going to kill ourselves, but what we did focus on very importantly was we focused on getting that cooldown as much as possible. Now, things that I kind of worked on a little bit is I did want some survivability, which again, I put battle stamina because that gives me skill duration. The target that gets hit with the allergy, they would have a debuff on them. So if you're fighting harder content, they were able to take 10% more damage. On top of that, it also gives me some HP. So this one is why I have that there. I do have a little bit more HP on there. Again, I want to be able to tank, be able to do a little bit more damage. Then I also have focus on non-attribute. This gives me some skill cooldown. On top of it is also buffing up my skill power for my non-attribute abilities, which in this case will be my 2. I have more cooldown. I have skill range on here specifically. You don't have to do anything else. If you have a really good reactor to give you range, just skill expansion and a good reactor will be pretty much solid, damn near max for it. So I wouldn't use the other one that gives you higher range, but it costs you a little bit of skill power on it comes to that. I think this is just perfect. I do have some defense. Like I said, I'm trying to be able to stay out there. I did a few Colossus build. I did do some Colossus fighting, and I was able to withstand most of the Colossus out there damage. Gluttony is the only one that takes me 2 hits and I still get hurt, damn near almost taking me out. But it normally takes about 3 or 4 shots, and then I'm finally down. So again, I have all of this to be able to stay up as much as possible. I do have Decimator on here. Like we talked about before, his skill 2 is a debuff. So with that specifically, that would allow me to do a little bit more damage because I am inflicting a debuff specifically on here. On top of that, because of how fast my cooldown is, which I have it for 2 seconds, so that means that I'm able to put out, give or take, 2.5 serums out before the explosion goes off. So keep that in mind when it comes to this. You'll be able to spam out quite a few of these, and you'll be able to get your debuffs going on top of this, and you can stack this up really good as well, which is again inflicting a little bit more skill power when it comes to that, because that is a debuff. I do have focus on singularity because that gives me a little bit more singular damage, and on top of that, cooldown. So again, we're trying to bring that cooldown as much as possible. I do have this as well. Frugal Mindset gives me a little bit of skill cooldown. And on top of that, I do have some range on here. This is the other mod I am using to be able to have a little bit more range on here. That is very helpful. Again, the other one will mess with your skill power. This is just enough to squeeze a little bit more out. And then I'm also using MP conversion. Again, the fact that I have max MP, I do minus myself 15. You can change Decimator out if you're having some MP issues to potentially give you MP collector instead, so you're able to get a little bit of MP if you're having issues with that. But I have this here for, again, for a faster cooldown, bring me down to 2 seconds, which again is really crazy fast. There is a max cap on there, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit, a couple things specifically you should know when it comes to his 2 ability. And then I just have midair maneuvering. This is really good. The way I have it set up, I could change a couple things out if I wanted to. Now with the new season 1 pass, you're able to add different socket types, but I don't think I'm going to change it up. I'm gonna show you why. On my healing, I might want to change it up, but this is just my DPS, and I find it very good, very consistent, and able to stay up as much as possible. I do have a glass cannon build, or if you just want to focus on his DPS, which is probably what you guys saw in the intro, I'm going to show you that case stat at the end, so stay tuned. But this pretty much is very important. This is the way I have mine set up to do some good damage, some good ad clear, and on top of that, some survivability. Now you could use your other abilities to heal a little bit if you needed to. You can mix it up a little bit, which is why I'm considering to try to figure out a good blend to have 2, be able to have that buffing out there, debuffing specifically from the 2 to have 10% more damage from all your teammates to do 10% more damage on a Colossus. So that could be very beneficial. But right now, the way I have it set up just for DPSing and survivability. But we'll show you the healing one in a second. I want to show you now a couple things to keep in mind when it comes to his 2. But keep in mind a couple things. One, if you hit a target with the allergy, while you have it, you cannot stack another allergy on top of it, hoping that you would do multiple damage. As you see here, the explosion does not go off. But what you actually do is you reset yourself, unfortunately. So you can only activate 1 allergy per ad that's out there that has the allergy debuff. So keep that in mind. As you see here, I'm spamming it, but no explosion. So unfortunately, you cannot double dip when you are using your 2 ability. Keep that in mind. That unfortunately, once you use it once, try to look for another target or pick another ads that are nearby. You won't be able to double dip, which is why I don't think this is really that great when it comes to using it with Colossus. But that extra 10%, you might want to focus more on duration specifically versus being able to have a faster cooldown. But you could do that if you wanted to. Like I said, that's just something to keep in mind when you use his 2. Unfortunately, you cannot double dip his 2. Now, what you want to do to maximize, as you're going to see my cooldown, I'm able to bring out a few, and over time you're going to be able to overlap it to at least have 3 out in the field. But in this video, I might not be able to showcase it because it does take some time. Because again, you're building half of a second difference to be able to get that explosion, to be able to keep them out. But normally you can be able to get 3 out. I haven't been able to do 4. It would take a lot of MP to keep doing it. But just showcase it real quick. As you see, I have 1. And I have 2, and as I have a 3rd one, boom. So I can't do, unfortunately, more than that. 3 is where I can cap it off right now. But if I have a faster cooldown, there is a chance to be able to put 4 out. But right now, this is the way you can have it. Again, I have at least 3 out specifically. Out of the way. All right, and just look at my reactor. The way I have mine currently set up, I have an Enduring Legacy one that has singular. It has a little bit more range on there and cooldown. That just happens to be a good one. If you happen to get one that has gold stats of what I have, that would be amazing, especially for a weapon that you would like to use, like Thunder Cage would be great. Surprisingly, what would also be really good if you had a really good weapon would be Python. If you guys don't know what Python actually does, Python has a debuff that it does specifically on non-attribute characters. You actually remove some of the resistance of non-attribute on top of that toxin. So if you can get a Python one, that would also be really good. If you guys like to use Python, if you don't like to use Python because it's a little difficult to hit weak points, I would totally understand that. But if you are good with Python to squeeze a little bit more damage, use a Python. And the build I have kind of set up with a good reactor for Python, then you'll be able to do a little bit more damage because you'll be removing some of the resistance of their non-attribute resistance. You'll be removing some of the non-attribute resistance on the actual ads. So that is also a way to squeeze a little bit more damage if you was going to. All right, now let's go ahead and show you guys how I have my healing set up. Alright, now this is my Yujin healing setup. Now there's a couple things I can do. This is not the best for everyone. This is just best for me. I'm going to explain why I have how I have things set up. Now right away you can kind of tell I have a red mod here specifically. I have this so I can get a little bit more cooldown specifically, and I'm going to show you how low I can get my cooldown. And we're going to explain a little bit about the skill 4. I'm going to explain all my mods, so don't get it twisted, but everyone might have a different setup. This is just the way I have mine currently set up. So the mod that we're talking about is Duty and Sacrifice. This mod is the best mod for Yujin. What it does is it allows you to activate your skill 4, and it is a one push of a button. You don't have to do your normal skill 4 where you activate something, you look for the circle, hopefully you're within that range, and then you activate it again. This is one and done. You activate your 4 and anyone within your party will be healed. It doesn't matter the range at all, which is amazing. So you don't have to focus on range at all. And what this actually does for you, it will give an instant heal, and then you have a heal over time on top of it as well. Now, as you see here, I have mine set for 12.9. Now, people might automatically dismiss this like, I can do lower than 12.9. But I'm going to show you guys how I can get this extremely low. But I just want to show you guys when it comes to the 12.9, I do have a higher duration. I do want that heal over time to keep healing over my teammates. That's just the way I have it set up. Now, things to keep in mind when it comes to this is you want your skill power as high as possible. It does scale off of your skill power as well when it comes to recovering. And then your target max HP is depending on your target, you're healing yourself or your teammates, depending on how they have their HP set up. You'll be able to heal off of that as well. Now, let's go over the mods real quick. The way I have it set up specifically, I have my Duty and Sacrifice. Now I have Passionate Sponsor. Someone recommended this on my very first Yujin video, and I had one. I just didn't realize it. I have it on my build. If you don't know what Passionate Sponsor is whenever you're buffing or recovering an ally, firearm attack and skill power modifier is increased, and it does stack at 10 times and is 10 seconds long, which again, you will heal like crazy, especially his 4. His 4 is a heal over time, so you'll be getting this stack up, which is really good. Next is I have increased HP. Now this can be anything, whatever you want. It could be however you want to set up, but I want the most HP as possible specifically. Next, I have a focus on non-attribute. Now you don't need this specifically. It doesn't go based off of your non-attribute skill power. From my understanding, it just goes based off your base skill power, which is at 17 normally that everyone has, 17k. I have mine a little higher so I can get a little bit more skill power out of it. You don't need this to be maxed out. The only reason I care for this is because it has a skill cooldown. Again, you don't need this to be maxed out. Next, I have MP conversion. Again, faster cooldown, a little loss in max MP. If you are having issues with your MP, you can put, instead of safe recovery, maybe you can look into putting MP collected if you needed to. But that, again, I don't really have an issue with MP, me personally. But if you needed to, you can always change this. But again, the main reason is, again, to have that skill cooldown lowered as possible. Next, I have Spear and Shield. Again, a little bit more skill power, but it gives me some defense on top of that, which is really good. Next, I have as well is your skill duration. Skill duration is good for that heal over time, which is going to be very important. Real quick before we lose that sidetrack. This 8.1%, it doesn't actually affect it from my understanding, because it really goes based off of this skill power, and this does not change if you change that mod out. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't fully know if it maybe on the back end it helps a little bit more, but again, I got there for the defense. So a little bit of defense, a little bit of skill power, sure, I'll take it. I don't know for sure if this 8.1% makes a difference, because again, if I take this mod out, it would not actually make a difference when it comes to your skill power here. But I have it there mostly. If it does help, great. If it doesn't, I have defense anyway, so I need some defense to stay alive. So we already talked about skill duration. Let's go over this mod. I have safe recovery, gives me HP heal a little bit more, and it also take a little less damage as well, which again is very important when I need to pick up my teammates. Hopefully I'm able to heal them, but if they take a one shot from gluttony because they don't have their self built out, or their glass cannon and it's a one shot because they have no defense or HP, this is going to be very important to be able to take a little less damage. I would activate my 3 so that I can take some heals when I'm taking damage from a boss possibly, or an ad. So just keep that in mind. I'm trying this out to see how this works out. Little less damage, also a little bit more healing. Next, I'm also have outstanding investment. This gives me a little bit more duration. On top of that, a little bit more healing as well. And then the next I have is a negative, which is focus on fury. I'm using this only a focus on fusion. I'm only using this because of the skill cooldown. If you level this up, it doesn't matter. I do have a focus on fusion leveled up, and I'm working on another one for another build because I don't have enough slots just yet. But I'm only using this just for the cooldown. I could change this out and put another C mod on here specifically. Now with the actual socket types, I was waiting to see if they were going to add a few more mods that could help them out, which is why this is a season 1 build. It might change. I haven't played around with the actual seasonal buffs that they have out there, but right now I'm using this just solely for the cooldown. I want to bring this down as low as possible, and I also have nimble fingers to bring my cooldown as low as possible. Like again, right now I have it at 12.9. I could try to bring this down a little bit lower, but the way I have it set up, I'm going to show you guys why I'm doing it this way specifically. And I'm running right now, as you see, a Divine Punishment build. Now, if you don't know what Divine Punishment does, Divine Punishment actually bring you a cooldown. Now, I do have my Divine Punishment maxed out in the sense of having multiple copies of it. I have yet to level it up. I just put an energy activator in it because I'm trying to try it out. I'm trying to see if this works out very well for him. But if you don't know what Divine Punishment does, I think is one of his best weapons right now. I normally don't tend to talk about ultimate weapons, but this one is probably one of his best ones because you heal. Let me just show you guys. Because you heal, recovering an ally, HP, shield, or whatever, excluding yourself will grant the unique effect Praise. Now, Praise, if you see down here, lasts for 15 seconds. You can, at max, you can have 12 stacks, and you can have 12% cooldown when it comes to this. Now, the way I have mine currently built out with 12 point something percent, I can actually bring this down to 6.6%, which is crazy. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit more cooldown with a different reactor, have a lower cooldown on top of this, you can. I got a cooldown on my reactor to bring me all the way down to 8.9 base with all the mods, and then bring it down to 6 seconds. You could, but I feel like I'm trying to get a fine line of HP the heal over. I'm trying to get a good fine line of the heal over time duration to be higher than the actual cooldown. I'm trying to play around with that. I'm trying to find that really thin line where you can balance them both out, because if you have HP heal over time, a little HOT on him, heal over time, and you have that cooldown, you might not want to keep activating because you're still getting heal over time. But what's really good for him, because you have a heal over time, just one teammate that takes enough damage where you can activate your 4, you can get 10% immediately, because that heal over time will keep healing him, and because it keeps healing him, you get 10 stacks, which is crazy, which is one of the easiest way. You activate one ability, and if you have more than one teammate out on the field that need heals, you can activate his 4, and you're getting max stacks, 12% on top of it, everything to have a cooldown. So the way I have my reactor set up, I can't seem to get the God roll, But this was a really good roll that I was able to farm. Let me showcase this real quick for you guys. This is a Divine Punishment fusion, because his 4 is a fusion build, and I have mine set up for gold duration and a little bit more range. Now range doesn't matter at all when it comes to his 4, but maybe his 3 can be good, maybe his 1 could be good if you were to use it. In reality, I don't use any of those. I might use it 2 every now and then. The way I use my Yujin is I activate 4 the most. All right, so you want to be able to have that constantly able to use. It does use a lot of MP, so keep that in mind when it comes to that. I'm trying to find a better Slayer set to help out. I don't know if the Slayer set skill power pops up on here, because if I take the Slayer set off, it actually doesn't change his skill power here specifically. This only goes on the reactor for some reason. It doesn't actually change numbers on here, and you guys can check it out yourself. I can put a whole new Slayer, I can put an Annihilation set real quick just to showcase it real quick. So for those people who don't believe me, I have a whole set of Annihilation, but I still have the exact same 18759. So just keep that in mind. This does not affect it. I don't know if it does or not. If you do get the added bonus to you while maybe you're fighting, maybe it's different. I don't see a difference though when I'm playing out in the field. So just keep that in mind. I don't know what's going on with that, is if this component is supposed to affect these or not. They're supposed to, but for some reason they're not changing the skill power, even if you had skill power when it comes to your Slayer set. I don't see a difference here specifically, but this does affect your duration. That could be very helpful as well. So I just letting you know, I'm trying the Slayer set because I want to be able to have more skill power. I just don't know if the actual Slayer set actually helps you or not. But if there is a bug or something like that, that is the reason why you can't see it. I don't know why you can't, but I just prefer the Slayer set just in case that skill power is needed, just in case. But when it comes to this, I can't seem to find a duration and a cooldown trait on my reactor. I've been farming for 2.5 weeks and I can't seem to get one with fusion with duration and cooldown. If you have one, that's amazing. I've been having some horrible luck when it comes to reactors. Hope that they do some changes. I plan to do a video talking about reactors. Hope that they do change it up a little bit. But the way this one dropped, I did have a cooldown. I do have a gold cooldown on another weapon that I do use, but this one became really good as I really thought about it. Divine Punishment will give you a cooldown anyway, but on top of that, I have duration up, so that is something I really wanted anyway as well. Sure, the range is could be helpful. Honestly, it really doesn't really matter. What I really want to focus on is that duration, and because it's on Divine Punishment, I'm able to have a cooldown on there. Is really good. If you have a gold cooldown on any other weapon, and you have this on here as well, again, I can bring it down to 6 seconds, which is crazy. So just keep that in mind. But I think what I have is really, currently the way I have mine set up is really solid. I don't see any changes when it comes to this. I am leveling up this weapon as well, just because I just got it and I'm trying to level it up. But just keep that in mind. Now, the only thing is, this, a lot of people will say about the Divine Punishment is, I don't personally know how the damage is when it comes to Divine Punishment. I just started working on it. I don't have any Crystalline Catalyst built into it. I'm trying to work on it, see how good it is. But keep this in mind, that the Enduring Legacy is a really good weapon as well. So if a Colossus is down and no one needs heals, then I can go and swap out and put this on there as I'm doing damage to do the most damage as I can on specifically on this weapon. I'm trying to max this out. This is becoming a pain, but I focus on Divine Punishment when I need to heal, because then I will be able to give me a faster cooldown and enjoy those benefits as well. Now let me showcase you guys the intro of the video, how I was able to hit for crazy numbers. Alright, now this is the build that I'm using to showcase the intro of this video. I was able to hit for 1.6. Now, I have been able to hit 1.7, very rarely, but 1.7, close to 1.8. Now, if I was able to level this up, or if I modded this correctly, I could potentially get close to 2 million damage on it when it comes to this. So if you are interested in this, this is how I have mine currently set up. If you wanted to do something similar to like that, and then add a little bit more damage, a little bit crit rate, crit damage, you can potentially do that. You can change all these mods up so you're able to do that specifically. You have now the capability to do that with this, so you're able to have the swap if you needed to. The only thing I would do differently is I probably would add maybe some cooldown to it so you're able to keep using those abilities. On top of that, maybe a little bit of range if you want. But this is what I use for that intro of this video to hit close to 1.7 mil. I didn't get a video of 1.7, but I'm trying to get another one. If I can get it up there, great. If I can't, oh well. But I can get it to 1.7. I'm trying to see if I can get it for 2 mil. But if I level this up, I could potentially get it to 2 million damage, which is insane to think about. That comes from a healer. 2 million damage. And if I can get my cooldown, to be as quick as my healing setup is at, or my DPS, that first build you guys saw, that would be insane. To be able to spam out almost 2 million damage would be crazy. So keep that in mind when it comes to this. Now, Yujin is not a crit beast at all. He is actually a 5%. I have it close to 9% right now, but he is only at 5%. So it's every now and then you're going to be able to hit for some crazy numbers. So you can build for it. It's just he's not a specific crit beast. But as you saw my build, I do have this reactor specifically on here. This reactor is a Thunder Cage reactor that has singular power boost and singular power ratio. Now, these are not the actual components. This is still part of the healing set that you guys saw. What you want to do is actually have a Slayer set. All right, now I have the Slayer set back on. You're going to want like a Slayer set to be able to squeeze a little bit more damage if you can. Again, your reactor is going to be very important to be able to do a little bit more damage. I just happen to have mine with a singular. It does have a little bit of range on it, so that's kind of good. So you'll be able to hit a little bit more range on it when it comes to the ability. But if you're looking to do something similar to what I did for the intro, that is the way I have mine currently built out. If you want to play around with that and try your own build, unfortunately, I already have my Yujin, I think 8. I already have him at 8. I'm not trying to invest a little bit more than him because I feel like when his ultimate does come down the line, and I know it's not going to come for some time, but when it does come down the line, I'm going to probably make a build like that specifically to be able to definitely invest into that, where you can have some crazy numbers being hit, and then you can easily swap over to another build for healing. But I think the way I have mine set up, I have it for good solid DPSing, good survivability if you have a DPS set up, and then I also have it for some healing if you needed to. It's a crazy heal build. Again, you don't need to worry about range at all. Just heal your whole entire party team members, which is really solid. All right, now I know this video was extremely long, but I had to have some time to showcase multiple builds with Yujin, and I also want to showcase you that build that I have that was the intro of this, which is pretty much close to, man, I'm hitting 1.7, 1.8, and the fact that I could be so close to hitting 2 mil is crazy on a support character. But hopefully you guys like this video. Please share this video, show other people how great Yujin is. I really did have fun with him. I'm still playing with him, but I just want to put a little bit more into him if I don't need to. I think where I have him is solid. If you want to play around with him a little bit more, this is right now currently going to be the max build specifically. I do plan to use some of the seasonal mods to see if I'll be able to help him out a little bit better. Some of them do help with MP, some of them help with HP. So we're going to be looking at that as well. But this is pretty much my ultimate Yujin, which, you know, again, with the skin and everything like that, I think is really sick, really dope. But let me know what you guys think down below. What would you guys change, if anything? Like I said, the healing part of it is pretty cool. I've been able to do some crazy build. Gluttony, I was able to heal, which is a really tough boss to heal for a lot of people. But when you go into randoms and you are a Yujin, it's really good because a lot of times people just die, and if you can protect them or you can revive them, again, it only takes 1.5 seconds for you to revive a teammate. Doesn't take that long. So having a way to keep yourself up, your teammates, is going to be very important. So when you see a Yujin or an Ajax on your field, when you're playing Gluttony with some randoms, it's something about it just really nice to know that you're going to be able to at least have some survivability, even if you don't unfortunately have survivability. So when it comes to my healing, again, that's just the way I have mine currently built out. There might be mods you guys you might like. If you guys want, let me know down below how you guys have your build, your DPS build, or how you have your healing build. I'm curious to see. But when we get an ultimate Yujin actually in the game, from the game themselves, not just me. I'm curious to see what kind of Transcendent mods he have, to see if he can squeeze out a little bit more heals or change his kit a little bit. I am curious to see what they would do when it comes to his build. But this is Season 1 Ultimate Yujin. If they do Season 2 and there's more mods that actually changes up his build, I may do an update for this video. We'll see how it goes when it comes to what kind of mods they have. Would it actually change his kit at all? Would it make it better for him? So as he add mods to it, we might be looking into that. But now it's time for that great YouTube stuff. Comment, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. If anyone's interested in Yujin, please share this video. Please tell other people about this. I think this is a really good showcase of Yujin. So let me know down below. I'm Records from Records Player Gaming. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.